visibility is a surprisingly under-discussed topic when it comes to mechanised warfare, which is strange because at the end of the day, a tank is a giant metal box with a cannon and a bunch of important materials strapped to it. Needless to say, when you're trapped inside one of those, visibility tends to be quite poor, so people tend to be quite interested in finding new methods to peer outside of a tank while remaining perfectly safe inside. For this reason, when Rudolf Gundlach approached the Polish army with a design for a new periscope in 1936, they were more than just a little thrilled. This periscope was quite important because it allowed crews to have a 360-degree view outside of the tank. It was first fitted onto the TKS and 70P, but it very quickly took off around the world. The British got hold of it when the design was sold to them for the token sum of 1 zloty, and they proceeded to design their own version called the Vickers Periscope Mark IV. Meanwhile, Germany and the USSR also got hold of that technology after the fall of Poland. They reverse-engineered the Gundlach periscope and the Russians developed it under the name of the MK4, I believe. Finally, the British shared their work with the Americans, who I'm pretty sure didn't do an exact copy, but incorporated similar technology into the Mark VI periscope. As a result, the Gundlach periscope, or at least the ideas behind the Gundlach periscope, are present within pretty much every tank invented during or after World War II. It's strange then that there is a distinct lack of sources which talk about how the Gundlach periscope works. But today, I hope to change that. In order to understand how the Gundlach periscope works, we need to first understand how a periscope works. Let me pull up my visual aid here. So what you're seeing on screen here is, granted, not the most detailed, but a simplified model of a periscope. Now, periscopes work in a beautifully simple way. Essentially, they comprise of 2 mirrors placed at 45-degree angles, which reflect light down the periscope's empty tube. So when you look into the periscope at the bottom, you see the reflection of the light that enters the periscope at the top. This system is elegantly simple, but there is a bit of a problem. What if you wanted to look behind you? Now, in most situations, like, say, for example, on board a submarine, the answer is pretty simple. You just rotate the periscope. But you don't really have that luxury on a tank. You see, while tanks can be massive, they are also, rather famously, extremely cramped on the inside. This causes a bit of a problem when it comes to periscopes. Hang on, let me illustrate that. Let's say this first aid kit is my periscope. If I look into it and the periscope is facing forwards, I encounter no problems. It's easy. But if I want to look behind me, I'd have to rotate the periscope, right? And then, to look into it, I would face some difficulties. This is the problem encountered with tanks, because they are so cramped you can't reposition yourself to look into the periscope while it's facing backwards. But Gundlach's periscope was revolutionary, because it provided a solution to this. Gundlach's periscope design had a second half to it, a piece that was attached on rails to the back of the periscope. This piece contained 2 additional mirrors. Now, in normal usage, when the periscope is facing forwards, these 2 mirrors were completely out of the way, and the periscope functioned exactly like any other periscope would. Now, notice how when we turn the periscope around, we can bring that second piece over the original viewport. These mirrors act as a secondary periscope, essentially reflecting the light 180 degrees back towards the viewer. This ensures that you can still look into the periscope even if the periscope is facing backwards. So there you have it. Now you essentially know how Gundlach's periscope worked. I'd like to give a quick shout out to the Bovington Tank Museum, who took time out of their presumably extremely busy schedule to stop and explain to me how the hell this thing functioned. And if you enjoyed this nerdy video, I strongly encourage you to stay tuned, as later this week I will be releasing an equally nerdy video detailing the story of HMS Campbelltown. Or at least, I think it'll come out later this week. I suppose it all depends on whether I edit this video in time. Either way, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and cheerio.